All right, and finally tonight, well, from under my report, not finally, but under my report, we have Dr. Osborne Smith, who's going to walk us through Cognia accreditation. I know we touched on it either last month or the month before, but we wanted to give an update about what the timeline is for accreditation for the district and what that's going to look like.
So thank you, Madam Chair and Board. Tonight I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the Cognia Engagement Review is, kind of the rubric that they use to evaluate our improvement process, and we'll give you an update on the timeline of our work. So to begin, the Cognia Review is an accreditation engagement review. It's what used to be called the Advanced Ed Review, or back when I first started teaching many moons ago, the SACS Review. And so it's like the Advanced Ed Review. It has two kind of purposes. One, it will help to assess our system against their performance standards. And then two, it will provide us some rich feedback concerning our improvement journey. So after the review is over, it should lead to two outcomes. First, it should lead to our recognition as an accredited institution. However, the thing I really want you to focus on is the idea of feedback. As I stated earlier, our team will be given a ton of feedback from the Cognia group that comes to visit with us. And again, that feedback's based on the performance standards that they have. It will include some suggestions for our next steps, which we will then use to build our strategic plan for the next 5-year cycle. And that strategic plan building starts in 22-23. So in the past, an engagement review like Cognia or Advanced Ed, the people would come in person to do that visit. But because of COVID and the disruption to schools, they are visiting remotely this year. It is scheduled for the first week of May in 2022. All meetings with district employees will be conducted remotely via Zoom. The major components of our visit are listed on the screen. School-based and district staff will be involved in focus group interviews. They also will be submitting assurances and evidence for the team to review the week of our visit. So an accreditation review may seem daunting, especially in our current context. And I don't want to skim over that acknowledgement. It's a ton of work. But knowing that, I wanted to share a quote with you that came from the Cognia training materials and modules that we did. The word here that I want to point out is helpful. Our Cognia team and those that I've been working with since the beginning of the year truly want us to succeed. In fact, in their training, the phrase that they bolded really big on the screen is that this is not a we have to be perfect situation. Our job in this review is to really use it as a reflection tool to identify those things that we are doing very well, and then to identify areas of growth, because every system that's focused on improvement is going to look at both things. So that's really good news for us, because reflection around the ongoing continuous improvement process is already part of our system. It's what schools do every year with their schools' work plans. This is just taking that one step further. So with that in mind, I wanted to share our major tasks with you. To prepare for the visit, we're doing the 3 things you see listed. During the month of October, our awesome principals have been working diligently on their draft of their school's executive summary. They've given each other feedback during district meetings, and they are submitting them currently to us at the district level for feedback and editing. Currently, district administrators are working to brainstorm evidence and data that best exemplify our improvement and growth as a district. And in early winter, our plan is to complete the school and district assurances. So since reflection around evidence is a key component of the process, I wanted to share another quote from the Cognia training. Our Cognia review team will need to see evidence at the highest perceived level of performance. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute when we look at the rubric. The goal is for us to submit the work we're most proud of. It's not to submit a whole bunch of evidence, it's to submit the best evidence. So our focus should be collecting evidence, no matter the task, that is as closely aligned to the mastery standards that they've put forth in their key concepts and standards. I will share a little more about what the standards are in the key concepts shortly, but before I do that, let's look at the evaluation instrument they will use. So the Cognia team uses a rubric called the I3 rubric to assess our improvement and journey as a district. The I3 rubric defines elements that must be present in order for something to impact an organization. The great thing about the rubric is that it's also a performance assessment rubric, which teachers use all the time with projects and things. So it's very aligned with what school systems just do naturally. The design of the rubric allows us to assess the effectiveness of any process or program or practice that we want. So let's take a closer look at the rubric. So on the screen is a screenshot of the actual evaluation tool that they will use. In the top row, you see there are levels or phases of impact. Each level involves one or two what they call elements, which the team will use in the evaluation. In the second row, you have the elements. These are the 5 areas that research shows must be present in order for the improvement and change process to take place. Each of these elements may be present in our system at varying degrees, but they all must be present if we want to ensure lasting change. In the third row, you see kind of the definitions for what these elements are. And then finally, in the following rows, you see a 4-level rubric for measuring the degree to which each of these elements has been implemented. So in the first row, they say it's level 1, which indicates little evidence or work, down to the bottom row, which is level 4, which indicates the highest degree of that element. So now the evidence. So now that you've seen the rubric, I wanted to show you the kind of evidence that we're going to be providing. This evidence is part of, again, what the Cognia review will assess to determine our accreditation status. As a district, we will work to identify relevant and authentic data in these 3 groups. In Standard 1, there are 11 key concepts or indicators that we provide evidence for, and these are all around our district's mission, vision, and school district processes. Standard 2 has 12 indicators or key concepts, and these focus on student learning, curriculum, and instruction. And finally, Standard 3 is all around a kind of a conglomerate of things that they put together. It includes human resources processes, professional learning, information technology, and resource management. As a district team, all of our divisions, again, have been brainstorming what we would like to submit. And in early winter, we will start to download that and actually put it in the portfolio for Cognia. So at this time, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Dr. Smith, can you just give a real quick answer to a big question, which is, why do we go through an accreditation process? Is it required? Can you just kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, so the State Department requires all school districts in the state to go through an accreditation process every 5 years because of the kind of disruption that we saw in 1920. It actually pushed back our accreditation visit to this year. So it is a requirement. I will tell you, our district has always done very well. We've always gotten some of the highest scores you can get, whether it's been SACS or advanced ed, and I anticipate that with what I'm seeing coming in and what I know about what schools are doing and how schools have performed over the last 5 years, we will again be accredited.
And then what we'll do from this work is this work will springboard directly into our strategic planning work next year. So we'll utilize those recommendations for moving forward, and you use part of that as the next phase of the efforts.
That's right.
Nicely done. Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with SACS because secondary, colleges use that. Did we have a choice whether we use is that just what all the?
So the State
K-12
Department, Cognia is the accreditation group that they require unless you are under review and then you do something different as a district. You do something directly with the State Department.
Is this the first time Lexington One's used this company or this
That we've been
organization?
required to use Cognia, yes. Last time we had an advanced ed review.
Okay.
But I will tell you, like, from my experience, I did it at the school level, the advanced ed visit at the school level. It is very close to what we've experienced before, and it's pretty close to what you at the college level see in SACS.
I have a question as well. So
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
the board plays a part in this. What exactly would our role be?
So it's a possibility, and I would need to check with the Cognia people, it's a possibility you may be asked to be on one of our panels. But I'm gonna need to call and make sure what your role is going to be in the actual accreditation. I do know that what I will bring to the board at the end of the year in May is the report. And at that point, we will involve you in using that information to create our new strategic plan.
Okay.
But I can check for specific things in the review visit. I'll call Dr. Melton and find out for you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That concludes my report.